Anything I can do for you?
Cheeseburger, fries,
You're managing to get over here and just enough time to get trucks.
No. I thought I'd better come early just to weather, traffic, orders.
It's an hour to get from one office to the other.
It's ridiculous. You know, you got to talk to the planner about that. Oh.
Hit one more button over here.
That's a typical planner. We're planning on taking care of that. As soon as we find it, we'll solve the problem.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with the traffic. I don't think it's going to get any better. You can't seem to get people here to ride a bus.
Hey,
they got enough
people have too many choices.
People have
too many choices.
Go back to Horse Drawn Train.
Train, ride the train.
I'll say, how'd we get to the moon and back 3 times?
Well, you only had one choice. It's easy to figure out.
Well, I know you didn't have really the government. Yeah, private enterprise.
Private industry.
When you need the green light to be on. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November 7th, 2017 meeting of the Arapahoe County Planning Commission. I'm sure everyone noticed tonight's election night as you drove up, and people are still casting their votes. We do have a quorum here this evening. Commissioners Brummel and Chafin are not here with us at this time, but all the rest of the commissioners are here. We have a couple of items of general business. We need to approve some minutes. First, we have the minutes of September 19th, 2017. Do we have a motion for those minutes? Ms. Latsis, I think I saw you turning on the mic.
I move to approve the minutes from the meeting dated September 19th as written.
Okay, and Ms. Rick, I saw you turned yours on.
I cannot vote because I was not at that meeting.
Okay, that means Mr. Saul is your mic. I'll second. Okay, so Mr. Saul seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, those minutes are approved. Next to the minutes of September 26th, I was not at that meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from September 26th.
Okay, Ms. Rick moves. And
Second.
Mr. Rader seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That also passes. Next, we have the minutes of October 3rd. Do we have a motion for those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Okay, Ms. Rick moves.
I'll second.
And Ms. Latsa seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes also. And last, the minutes of October 17th. We have a motion on that, Mr. Saul.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Mr. Rader seconds. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay, now we will go to case L17-004, Parker and Florida Library Children's Edition, location and extent, amendment number 2. And Molly?
Good morning, or good evening, Commissioners. Sorry.
I've been here too long.
Yeah, I was here earlier today. Molly Kild Larson, Senior Planner with the Public Works Department. What's before you this evening is the Parker and Florida Library Children's Addition, location and extent. The applicant is the Arapahoe Library District. This application proposes to build an addition of approximately 2,400 square feet to the south side of the existing Eloise May Library. This addition will provide a space to enhance the children's program there, and while relieving the rest of the library from noise and activity associated with the current open floor plan. Accompanying this location extent is a request for vacation of easements, which proposes to vacate a portion of the existing drainage easement in order to accommodate the new library, and that will be before the Board of County Commissioners next Tuesday for their vote. The staff recommends this application be approved on the findings in the staff report. This concludes my presentation, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. And the applicant's architect is here to go into more detail on this project. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jared Floyd, and I'm with Studiotrope Design Collective, and we're representing Arapahoe Library District.
And if you could give your address also, please.
Oh, yes, it's at 2942 Welton Street in Denver, Colorado.
Thank you.
And basically, I was just going to go over a couple of kind of like a brief overview of the project, just so you know a little bit more about it. You can see here, we're basically proposing to add the 2,400 square foot addition on the south side. Florida runs here, Parker runs here, so it would be facing Florida, and it would basically be where you see the roof right here and the flat roof right here. That would include the entire area. We try to keep with the general feeling of the building, so we're using existing materials.
If you could just make sure you get the microphone there, because it's being recorded.
Oh, yes. Basically, as you can see, we're using the existing materials, so we'll stick with existing stone cladding that's on there and the stucco. And we're basically using the same module with windows and the same finishes with the storefront. So it'll look like it was part of the original library. So we're not breaking or doing anything crazy as far as that goes. As far as the aesthetics, just to give you a little bit better feel of it, as you can see, we're just adding a little bit of passive sunshade just to make the space bright, but not getting that morning light or that afternoon light. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward. The area is basically, as Molly mentioned, it's to kind of relieve the stress of the children in the open floor plan from the noise and the activity and the excitement. We want to encourage the children to still have that excitement. So we're basically creating a story time area, which will be at kind of like the furthest portion away from the library, so that way all the loud activities can happen there. The kids can have their makerspace and do whatever exciting activities they want there. And then as you come back towards the main portion of the library, we're kind of like grading it so that the oldest kids, the tweens as we're referring to, will have their kind of like junior fiction in that area. There will also be an area for studying. The computer area will also be in this addition for the tweens, so that way all the loud gaming happens in this part. We will have an egress door that allows the kids to kind of be acoustically isolated, and we think that it will be a really great enhancement to the existing library.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious why it wasn't designed like that in the beginning. I mean, Coble Library is much older, and it has always had the separate room. I'm just curious why that was left out.
Well, I can't speak to the original design because it was done by a different architect. I personally would not have taken this tact at all. My guess is that that they were trying to kind of like the open floor plan. You know how it was kind of a very big trend, but I think one of the issues is that it creates a generic space, and especially in a building with this where it is a big open one, it just creates a lot of extra noise. I don't know if they realize the kind of like the direction that area was happening as far as the diversity of the number of children. But we're hoping that this is a good step in order to kind of make the separation and make it where it's a little bit more like Coble. I worked on Coble as well, and I love the children's area there. It's nice to have that kind of separation so that way you can have the quiet, like kind of older feel of the library.
Okay, I also would like to make one other comment. I looked at the Arapahoe Library District website today, and they're already announcing the inconvenience because construction has commenced. And I think what we do is important, and I think it's very odd that we're hearing about this when it's already underway. I find that very frustrating.
Oh, apologies for that. I think that they're just, since the fences have gone up, I think that they wanted to let people know what was going to be happening.
I had a question as well. So how is this oriented as relates to the meeting rooms?
Oh, for the meeting rooms, I have a plan. Right here. So as far as the meeting rooms, it's basically going to be on the back side of it. So the former entries along the back where those windows were will basically become an acoustic wall. So we're doing a double-walled separation in order to create a much greater acoustic separation. So that way we end up having kind of like an airspace in between. So that way the noise from the children's won't affect the meeting rooms. And vice versa. Yeah, it's true. They can be very positive. And I think that basically if you come into the meeting room, it'll be down here, but this will basically, you'll enter from around the corner. So if you've ever seen, do you know the meeting room that the children currently use? It's where the mural is. That entry right there will basically, if you hang a left there, kind of where the existing children's area is, it'll be walled off, but there will be a double doors there, so that way it'll have its own entry into it.
Great, thank you.
To your question, I don't think they ever thought this library would be as busy as it is. It's become very, very busy. And that leads to my question. Have you got any kind of a design if you need to add more space to this library in the future?
Well, we have chatted with them briefly about that, and I think that the idea would be not to head in this direction just because of the detention pond. I think it would be quite a bit of an undertaking. The library has recently acquired the property just to the west of it, where a former architect's office was. And I think they're just kind of future-proofing it. I think the immediate need would be is if this is successful and there is an increase in patronage, then the first thing I think we would want to do is increase the parking. Currently, whenever the library was built, they built in much more parking than was necessary, so we still need the code-required parking. But if it becomes a problem, I think that they would want to be proactive and go ahead and increase the parking with that. Of course, there's steps to be taken. We would have to consolidate the lots. And then I think from there we would probably come out on the same side, which would be the kind of north side of the library. That would probably be where they would want to create the addition. Unfortunately, whenever they built this, they weren't thinking about going up. I would love it if it was like Coble is, which is like a 2-level library, in which case you have the quiet zone and the more active zone. But unfortunately with this, we kind of have to compartmentalize a little bit given the existing architecture.
Do you have any other questions? Okay, thank you. And with that, we will go to the public hearing.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to address the Planning Commission on this? I thought we might. And if you could state your name and address for the record, please. We haven't seen you in a while.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you. Mark Lambert with Foursquare Mile, 9022 East Colorado Drive.
Thank you. Mark Lampert, Foursquare Mile, 9022 East Colorado Drive. Here to talk in favor of this because of the fact that as we were here many, many years ago when this first started, Foursquare Mile was very much looking for a meeting location. And the library is one of the biggest things that we started with because we needed an identifying factor. When we worked with the library district from the very beginning, Our fingerprints are all over that building because of the fact that as 4 Square Miles being formed, so was the library district coming to our monthly meeting, giving us an update. Because this was the old Glendale Library, as you well know. And when the city of Glendale forced it out, we wanted it. We gave it a home. We wanted it. And I went to those meetings looking for the identifier, thinking this was going to be the 4 Square Mile Library. But better yet, it became the Eloise May Library in honor of our distinguished former library director, which was a very appropriate way to give Eloise a way to get out. But the situation is that when we came up originally, we knew it was too small from the very beginning, because this area, as you have heard, has a lot of minorities, a lot of First Americans that are there. And this concept of a library was new to them. And this library consistently has the most library cards issued every month. It has the most checked out items over and over and over. So the day it opened, it was outgrowing itself. And this was one of the biggest things that we needed, because the children need a place of their own. It does cause for interruptions. And so this additional meeting space is so much warranted right now that this is a start. And also, as I heard you ask the question, what about the future? Well, the future is one of the best things the library did, again, is purchase the adjacent property that has been for sale off and on for years and years and years, and it was just a no man's land. So this is a perfect place for the library to expand. What they're going to do with the existing building right now is basically use it for construction offices, and also that land is going to be construction parking. Because our library, when some of you have been to 4 Square Mile meetings, we don't have parking on Wednesday nights there. So this is definitely warranted, definitely needed, and I encourage you to support this fully. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Saying that, the public hearing is closed. Okay, so now we will bring this back to Planning Commission for discussion and or a motion. Ms. Alexis.
I'd like to make a motion. In the case L17-004, Parker and Florida Library, Children's Extension, Location Extent Amendment Number 2, the Planning Commissioners have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation and the public comment as presented at the public hearing. I hereby move to approve this application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, prior to signature of the final copy of these plans, the applicant must address Public Works staff comments and concerns. Number 2, the approval of the Parker and Florida Library Children's Edition Location Extent Amendment Number 2 is contingent upon the approval of the Parker and Florida Library Children's Edition Vacation of Easement, case number V17-003. Number 3, the applicant shall comply with all Cunningham Fire District's requirements. Number 4, the applicant shall show the electric service line from the transformer on the plans.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Ms. Rick seconds the motion. Do we have any discussion?
Just one comment, and I don't know if planning staff needs to address it, but it's no longer Cunningham Fire District. It's now South Metro. Oh. So may want to at least make mention of that by the time this is going. I thought it was September, actually. But.
And I just want to comment that this is a very busy, wonderful library, as Mr. Lampert said, and that's why I asked the question about where does it go from here, and I think this is a real good thing for the library. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Now, Mr. Skinner, good morning. Oh, Evening, excuse me. I don't know if you've been here all day or not. Case number Z16-007, Mountain View Gardens, number 10, conventional rezoning. Mr. Skinner. Have you been here all day?
I've been in our other building all day. Just one quick note on the cover sheet. It says this is Commissioner's District 3. It's actually 4. So, Bill Skinner for the Arapahoe County Planning Division. The case in front of you is pretty straightforward, so I'm going to not go off on a lot of tangents. The property was zoned PUD RPSF. That application came in 2002. It was approved in 2003. Since that time, nothing's been constructed. The 3 lots you see most clearly in the illustration on page 2 of the staff report have they were platted after that zoning was approved. That zoning being a PUD, it's a preliminary development plan. It specifically shows lot lines and lot configuration. The property has changed hands, and the current owner would like to gather those 3 lots back into one property and construct one single-family home on it. Our attorney very astutely said, well, can't they do that under the existing zoning? And I said, the zoning is good. The depiction of lot lines is creating a problem. So the simplest path forward for them was to get rid of that PUD. There's some other advantages to that. And we suggested rezoning it to the only standing residential zone district the county has right now, R1. The result would be a 40,000 square foot minimum lot size. That means theoretically this could re-subdivide into 2 lots, but there's no stated intention of that. I have no reason to believe that's in the works. But that's what you've got in front of you. Rezoning from PUD to a conventional R1 zone district. There's a concurrent replat that'll take care of replatting, and then there are some easements that need to be vacated. Those will come directly to the board. Any questions for me? Oh, I should state quickly, the property's been posted, letters have gone out, you have jurisdiction on this, and I've heard from 2 members of the public, both of them very positive. I haven't heard anything negative from anyone. Now I'm done.
Any questions from the Planning Commission? Okay.
We have the applicant's representative here if you'd like to speak to him. He says he's fine going either way with that.
Anyone have a question?
Yeah.
Looks like we don't. So with that, we'll go to the public hearing. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to address this issue? It looks like we do. The microphone's off.
How lucky can I get 2 for 1 tonight? Mark Lempert, 4 Square Mile, 9022 East Colorado Drive. Here tonight on a case here because this has not been the first time you've seen this parcel. This parcel has been an issue for many, many years, probably the oldest undeveloped site that has gone through so much discussion in the 4 Square Mile area, specifically the Mount View Gardens area. This was the old land right property on that. And from that standpoint, that was very, very divisive in the area when it first started because there was a small home on it and there just was many, many discussions as to how many home sites would come on here. Started out at 5, went to 4, went to 3. 3 was finally approved. That's what you see they're going from back to the 1. So any time we can do a downzoning, we're always in favor of that type of situation. So from the standpoint of 4 Square Mile, and I must admit that my presence here is more indicative of the case rather than our written part. Just not getting the written forms out so fast. So anyway, that's why it's important to show up in person. But right now I'm here on behalf of Foursquare Miles supporting it, and I frankly thought there would be somebody from Mountain View Gardens as well, and I think that might have been the people that you heard from. Is that true, Bill? Right. Yeah, so people on either side of this. So from that standpoint, those were very vocal people that spoke previously when we were going from 1 to 5 to 4 to 3. So this is a great thing, and we hope that you will unanimously approve it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring this back to Planning Commission for discussion and or a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Ms.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion. In the case of Z16-007, Mountain View Gardens number 10, conventional rezone, I've reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation and the public comment as presented at the hearing, and hereby move to recommend approval of this application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, prior to signature of the final copy of these plans, the applicant will address all Public Works and Development staff comments.
And do we have a second? Mr. Saul seconds. Okay, do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes unanimously. And I think that is all our business for this evening. And other than I just want to add, I am going to resign as chair effective tonight for the next meeting. And I'm of the belief that the the county commissioners are going to start enforcing term limits more than they have been, and that I may be gone in a few months anyway, and that kind of gives y'all an opportunity to decide how to move forward. And so I just want
Well, thank you for all your cheering.
Thank you. It's been a lot of years.
Well, thank you
Been
for
through
your
some
service
interesting
and
meetings.
leadership.
But I'm not resigning as planning commissioner, just as chair, so y'all can do.
Was that your first one in Greenfield?
Oh,
Remember that?
that one may have had, that was a big one.
That was an audience.
Oh, yes. That one would have filled this room.
Yes.
And a lot of extra chairs. And that was my first, and it was hard to be chair at one like that for the
It
first.
was an emotional crowd.
Oh, it was. I think we had 98 people speak that night. So, and
Well, thank you.
we ended well after midnight. Yeah. And the project never got built. Okay, so with that, we will adjourn.
Yeah.